The Japanese words cut through me like broken glass.
Baka na ane.
Noryoku no nai, busu no kusotare. Stupid woman. Incompetent, ugly piece of trash. He said it with a smile on his face. A casual smile, like he was commenting on the weather. His associates laughed, their expensive suits shifting as they leaned back in their chairs, completely unaware that I understood every single word. My hand moved before my brain caught up. The slap echoed through whole restaurant like a gunshot. Every conversation stopped. Every fork froze halfway to every mouth. The entire dining room held its breath. Haruki Noboru's head had snapped to the side from the force. When he turned to look at me, there was a red mark blooming across his cheek. His dark eyes were wide with shock. Around him, 6 men in black suits shot to their feet, hands reaching inside their jackets. I should have been terrified. I should have apologized. I should have run. Instead, I looked him dead in the eye and said in perfect Japanese, "I may be a waitress, but I am not trash. And I understand every word you just said." Then I turned and walked toward the emergency exit, my entire body shaking, knowing I had just made either the worst mistake of my life or somehow, impossibly, the best one. My name is Claire Bennett, and this is the story of how I went from a broke waitress drowning in debt and exhaustion to standing beside the most powerful man in the city, wearing a ring that made my childhood dreams look small. But more than that, this is about the moment I learned that sometimes the person who looks like your destruction turns out to be your salvation. How are you today? Where are you watching this from? I hope wherever you are somewhere safe and warm, because the journey I am about to take you on starts in a very cold, dark place. If you're settling in for the story, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to hear how this impossibly ends, because I promise you, you cannot guess where this goes. But let me take you back to before that slap. Back to when I was just trying to survive one more day. 3 months earlier, I was 26 years old, and I had forgotten what it felt like to not be tired. Bone tired. Soul tired. The kind of tired that lives in your chest like a weight you carry everywhere. I worked 3 jobs. Not because I wanted to build a career or save for something exciting. I worked 3 jobs because my younger brother Danny needed to finish college, and I had about $47,000 in student loans from a degree I never finished, and our landlord did not accept promises or prayers as rent payment. Danny was 19. Smart, funny, kind. Everything good that our parents were before they died in a car accident 5 years ago. I was 21 when it happened.
He was 14.
There was no other family. No money. No plan. Just me and a kid who deserved better than what life had handed him. I had been 2 semesters away from my degree in international relations. I spoke Japanese, Mandarin, French, and English fluently. I had plans. Real plans. The kind that involved travel and purpose and using my brain for something that mattered. All of that died the day my parents did. I dropped out of school, picked up whatever work I could find, and made sure Danny got the life I had lost. He was studying engineering at a good school. He was going to graduate. He was going to have options.
Even if it killed me to give them to him.
And some days it felt like it actually might. My routine was brutal. Up at 5 for the morning shift at Grindhouse Coffee Shop. Home by noon for 3 hours of medical billing data entry that paid badly, but let me work in my apartment. Then dressed and out the door by 4 for the evening shift at Sakura Garden Restaurant, where I worked until close at 11. Sometimes midnight. Sleep from 1 to 5.
Repeat.
Weekends I picked up double shifts at the restaurant because that's where the real money was. Tips from business dinners, corporate events, couples celebrating anniversaries with the kind of money that made a 20% tip actually mean something.
I was good at my job.
Professional. Efficient. I smiled even when my feet screamed and my back ached, and all I wanted was to go home and sleep for a year. The morning that everything changed started exactly like every other morning. My phone alarm went off at 5. I rolled out of bed, every muscle protesting, made coffee, checked my bank account, and felt my stomach drop. $283. Rent was due in 9 days. $800. Danny had texted the night before asking if I could send him money for textbooks. $300. My car was making a grinding noise that promised something expensive was about to break. I did the math in my head while I got dressed for Grindhouse. Even with tips, even with every shift, I was going to be short. Again. I had been short every month for the past 8 months. I was juggling payment plans, dodging calls from creditors, paying the minimums on my student loans, and watching the interest pile up like snow in a blizzard. This was my life. This had been my life for 5 years. And I could see no end to it. The morning shift at Grindhouse was the usual chaos. Business people rushing in for their caffeine fix before heading to offices where they made more in a day than I made in a month. Students camping out with laptops, nursing a single cup of coffee for 4 hours while taking up a table I needed for paying customers. I smiled. I took orders. I made drinks. I cleaned up spills. I pretended that the woman who snapped her fingers at me like I was a dog did not make me want to dump her vanilla latte in her lap. Excuse me, this is not hot enough. I said no foam. This is foam. Can you remake this? It does not taste right.
Sure.
Of course. Right away. My pleasure. By the time my shift ended at noon, I had made $63 in tips.
Good day.
I shoved the cash in my pocket and drove home, my car making that grinding noise that was definitely getting worse. 3 hours of data entry. Medical codes blurring together on my screen. My neck cramping from hunching over my laptop at the kitchen table. I ate crackers and cheese because I did not have time to make anything else, and I was trying to stretch groceries until Friday. My phone buzzed.
Danny.
Hey, about those textbooks. Did you get a chance to look at that? I closed my eyes.
Took a breath.
I will send it tomorrow. I typed back. How are classes?
Good.
Really good, actually. Professor Martinez said my project design was one of the best he has seen in years. That made it worth it. That little bit of pride in his message. That was what I was doing this for. That is amazing. I am so proud of you. Thanks, Claire Bear. You are the best. I know this is hard. I will pay you back for everything someday. I promise.
He always said that.
I always told him not to worry about it. And I meant it. But some days the weight of it all pressed down so hard I could barely breathe. At 4 o'clock, I changed into my Sakura Garden uniform. Black pants, white button-up shirt, black vest. I tied my blonde hair back in a neat bun, put on minimal makeup to hide the shadows under my eyes, and drove across town to the restaurant. Sakura Garden was beautiful, elegant. The kind of place where businessmen closed deals over 8-course tasting menus and couples got engaged over champagne that cost more than my rent. Dark wood, soft lighting, traditional Japanese art on the walls. The owner, Mr. Tanaka, ran it like a tight ship. High standards. High prices. High expectations for his staff. I had worked there for 3 years. I was good at it. Professional, knowledgeable about the menu, fluent in Japanese, which impressed the occasional Japanese clients. Mr. Tanaka liked me. He gave me the good sections, the corporate parties, the high roller tables. Which is how I ended up assigned to the Noboru party that Thursday night. I did not know who Haruki Noboru was when I saw the reservation. Party of 7. Private dining room. Open bar.
Prix fixe menu.
The kind of reservation that meant a guaranteed big tip if I played it right. I showed up early, made sure the private room was perfect. Fresh flowers. Sake warmed to the right temperature. Water glasses filled. Everything exactly right. They arrived at 7:30. 7 men in expensive suits. The kind of expensive that does not have labels because it does not need them. Custom tailored. Perfectly fitted. They moved like they owned not just the room, but the entire world. The man at the center of the group was younger than the others. Maybe early 30s. Tall, lean build, dark hair styled perfectly. Sharp features. Eyes that noticed everything. He had the kind of presence that made everyone else fade into the background. That was Haruki Noboru. Though I did not know his name yet. I greeted them in Japanese, welcomed them to Sakura Garden, guided them to their private room. They barely acknowledged me. I was furniture. Part of the decor. That was fine. I was used to it. The dinner started normally. I took drink orders, brought appetizers, explained menu items. Standard service for a high-end party. Then things started to shift. Noboru was particular. Very particular. He wanted his sake at a specific temperature. Not too warm, not too cool. I brought it. He sent it back. Too warm. I brought another.
Too cool.
I brought a third. He looked at it, did not even taste it, waved it away. His water glass needed to be refilled constantly, but never while he was speaking. His napkin needed to be replaced twice because he claimed they were not folded correctly. His chopsticks were not balanced properly. Could I bring different ones? Each request was delivered in English, politely enough on the surface, but there was something underneath. A test. A game. He was pushing to see how far he could push. I stayed professional. No problem. Of course. Right away. But inside, I was starting to fray. The entrees came out. Beautiful presentations. Wagyu beef, fresh sashimi, delicate tempura. I placed each dish carefully, explained each component. Noboru took one bite of his beef. Put down his chopsticks. This is not what I ordered. I kept my smile. I apologize, sir. You ordered the wagyu with the miso glaze. That is what this is.
No.
I ordered it without the glaze. I pulled out my order pad. Showed him. Your order here shows with the glaze, sir. But I would be happy to have the kitchen remake it for you. He looked at the pad. Looked at me. I said without. He had not. I had repeated the order back to him. He had confirmed it. But arguing with a customer was not an option. Of course. I will have it remade immediately. I took the plate back to the kitchen. Explained. The chef was irritated because the dish was perfect and Noboru was wrong, but he remade it. I brought it out. Noboru took one bite. This is overcooked. It was not. It was perfect, medium rare, exactly as ordered. But I smiled. I will have it remade. This happened 3 more times. 3 more trips to the kitchen. 3 more versions of the same dish. The chef was furious. I was sweating. My feet hurt. My back ached. And I could feel the tips from my other tables disappearing as I spent all my time catering to this one impossible man. The other men at the table were watching with amusement. This was entertainment for them. Watching him torture me. Finally, Noboru accepted a plate. I brought fresh drinks.
Cleared plates.
Brought dessert. I was exhausted. Running on fumes. It was nearly 10:30. I had been on my feet since 4. Before that, working since 5 that morning. 17 hours. My whole body hurt. I brought the check. Set it down discreetly beside Noboru. He did not even look at it. Just kept talking to his associates in rapid Japanese. I stood there, waiting. Professional smile locked in place even though I wanted to scream. They kept talking, laughing, ignoring me completely. I cleared my throat softly. Whenever you are ready, sir. Nothing. Like I had not spoken. I waited 5 more minutes. Other tables needed me. I was losing time, losing tips. Sir, I apologize for interrupting, but whenever you have a moment to look at the check. Noboru turned to me slowly. Looked me up and down like I was something unpleasant he found on his shoe. Then he said in English, very clearly, very coldly, "You have been inadequate all evening. Your service has been poor. You are pushy and incompetent. Now you are hovering. Give me space." Something in me cracked. Not broke. Not yet. But cracked. I took a breath. I apologize if my service has not met your expectations. I have tried to accommodate every request you made. I will give you space, but I do have other tables that need attention. When you are ready, the check is right there. I said it calmly, professionally.
No actitud.
Just facts. I turned to leave. And that is when he said it. In Japanese. To his friends. Loud enough that I could hear.
Baka na ane.
Noryoku no nai, busunoku sottare. Stupid woman. Incompetent, ugly piece of trash. His friends laughed. And something inside me did not just crack. It shattered. I thought about my parents. Gone 5 years, and I still miss them every single day. I thought about Danny. Brilliant, sweet Danny, who deserved a shot at a real life. I thought about my drop degree. My disappeared dreams. My empty bank account. I thought about 17-hour days. About falling asleep crying because the math did not work no matter how hard I tried. About eating crackers for dinner so I could send my brother textbook money. I thought about every single person who had ever treated me like I was nothing because I was serving them food. And I turned around, walked back to that table, looked Haruki Noboru directly in his smug, handsome face. And I said in perfect, fluent Japanese, I may be a waitress, but I am not trash. And I understand every single word you just said. The table went silent. His eyes widened. And then my hand moved. The slap connected with his cheek hard enough that my palm stung. Hard enough that his head snapped to the side. Hard enough that everyone in the room heard it. For 1 second, nobody moved. Then his 6 associates shot to their feet. Chairs scraped. Hands reached inside suit jackets. I saw flashes of metal. Guns.
Oh.
Oh no. That was when my brain caught up with what my hand had done. But I could not take it back.
Would not take it back.
Noboru held up one hand. Stopped his men, without looking at them. His eyes were locked on mine. He touched his cheek, where my handprint was blooming red against his skin. Then slowly, so slowly he smiled. Not a nice smile. Something else. Something I could not read. What is your name? He asked in Japanese. My voice came out steadier than I expected. Claire Bennett. Claire Bennett. He repeated it like he was memorizing it. You speak Japanese very well. I know. Where did you learn? University. Before I had to drop out to take care of my brother.
I do not know why I told him that.
Maybe because I had already destroyed my life. Might as well go all the way. He stood up. He was tall. I had not realized how tall. He moved around the table toward me, and every instinct screamed at me to run. I did not. He stopped right in front of me, close enough that I could smell his cologne. Something expensive and subtle. You should not have done that, he said quietly. I know. Do you know who I am? I can guess. Because I did know. Not his name yet. But I knew what he was. The guns. The entourage. The way he carried himself. The expensive everything. The casual cruelty. Yakuza. Had to be. I had just slapped a Yakuza boss in front of his crew. I was dead. I was so completely dead. He studied my face like he was trying to figure out a puzzle. You are not afraid, he said. I am terrified. But you are not showing it. Would it help? He almost laughed. Almost.
No.
Then he reached into his jacket, and I actually stopped breathing because this was it. This was how I died, over sake temperature and Wagyu beef. But he pulled out a wallet, dropped $500 bills on the table. For the dinner. And your trouble. He turned to his men. We are leaving. They filed out. Every single one of them staring at me like they were memorizing my face for later. Noboru paused at the door. Looked back. Claire Bennett. I will remember you. It sounded like a threat. It sounded like a promise. Then he was gone. I stood there in the empty private room, shaking, my hand still stinging, $500 on the table, and the absolute certainty that I had just changed my life forever. I just did not know yet whether I had changed it for better or for catastrophically worse. I made it through the rest of my shift on autopilot. My hands shook while I cleared tables. My mind kept replaying that moment. The slap. His face. The guns. Those words. I will remember you. Mr. Tanaka called me into his office before I left. He was a small man in his 60s, always impeccably dressed, always calm. But when I walked in, his face was pale.
Claire.
Sit down.
Iset.
Waited for him to fire me. Waited for him to tell me I had endangered the restaurant. Waited for whatever consequences were coming. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said very carefully, Do you know who that man was? I can guess. Haruki Noboru. His family controls most of the business operations in this part of the city. Legitimate and otherwise. He is not someone you disrespect. He called me trash. In Japanese. He thought I would not understand. Mr. Tanaka closed his eyes. And you slapped him. Yes. In front of his men. Yes. Another long silence. I should fire you. I know, but I am not going to. I looked up, surprised. He leaned forward. That man has been coming here for 2 years. He is always difficult, always testing, always pushing. He treats my staff like they are beneath him. I allow it because his money is good and refusing him would be bad for business. But tonight, after you left that room, he paid for his meal, left a generous tip, and told me that your service was exceptional. I blinked.
What?
He said you were the best server he has had in years. Professional, patient, skilled. Mr. Tanaka shook his head. I do not understand it either. But you are not fired. Go home, Claire.
Get some rest.
I will see you tomorrow. I drove home in a daze. It was almost midnight. I was exhausted beyond exhausted. But my mind would not shut off. What just happened? I had slapped a Yakuza boss. He had smiled, complimented my service, left a big tip. None of it made sense. I parked in front of my apartment building, sat in my car with the engine off, and let myself shake. Really shake. All the fear I had held back came flooding through. I could have died tonight.
Could still die.
He said he would remember me. Men like that did not forget disrespect. They retaliated, made examples. But he had smiled. I dragged myself upstairs. My apartment was dark and quiet. Danny was at school 2 hours away.
It was just me.
I peeled off my uniform, took a shower hot enough to hurt, and fell into bed. Sleep would not come. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Noboru's face. That moment when shock became something else. That smile that was not quite a smile. What did it mean? I finally fell asleep around 3 in the morning and woke up at 5 to my alarm. 4 hours of sleep. Same as always. Coffee. Grindhouse.
Smile.
Make drinks. Ignore the rude customers. Home. Data entry. Medical codes until my eyes burned. Back to Sakura Garden at 4. I walked in and the hostess, Amy, grabbed my arm immediately. Oh my God, Claire. Everyone is talking about what happened last night.
Great. Just great.
It was nothing. You slapped Haruki Noboru. That is not nothing. That is insane. That is the craziest thing I have ever heard. Can we not talk about it? Are you kidding? You are a legend. Nobody stands up to guys like that. Nobody. I really did not want to be a legend. I wanted to be invisible. Safe. Boring. But apparently that ship had sailed. My shift started normally. I had my section, my tables, everything routine. Then Amy came rushing over during a lull.
Claire.
There is someone here to see you. My stomach dropped.
Who?
He did not say. But he is in a suit that probably costs more than my car, and he asked for you specifically.
No. No.
I walked to the front. There was a man waiting. Not Noboru. One of his associates from last night. Older, maybe late 40s, stern face. He bowed slightly when he saw me. Miss Bennett. I am Takashi Sato. I work for Mr. Noboru. He would like to speak with you. I am working. He is willing to wait. Tell him I am not interested. Sato did not blink. Mr. Noboru does not take no for an answer. He is waiting outside in his car. 5 minutes of your time. That is all he asks. This felt like a threat wrapped in politeness. But what choice did I have? Men like Noboru did not send associates to restaurants to ask nicely unless refusing was not actually an option. Let me tell my manager. Mr. Tanaka looked worried when I explained, but he nodded. 5 minutes. Be careful, Claire. I followed Sato outside. There was a black car at the curb. Expensive. Tinted windows. He opened the back door. Noboru was sitting inside, looking at his phone. He glanced up when I appeared. Miss Bennett. Thank you for agreeing to speak with me. Like I had a choice. I did not get in the car. Stayed on the sidewalk. What do you want? To apologize. That was not what I expected. He continued, still in Japanese. My behavior last night was unacceptable. I was testing you, pushing to see how you would react. It is a habit of mine, not a good one. You were professional throughout. You did not deserve what I said. I stared at him. You are apologizing? Yes. Why? Because I was wrong. People like you do not apologize. He smiled slightly. The same smile from last night. People like me? You know exactly what I mean. He leaned back in his seat.
Studied me.
You are very direct. I am very tired. I have been working since 5 this morning. I will be working until midnight tonight. I do not have energy for games. So, if you are here to apologize, fine. Apology noted. If you are here to threaten me, just get it over with. I am not here to threaten you. Then what do you want? I want to offer you a job. I actually laughed. Could not help it.
A job.
Yes. Doing what exactly? I need someone who speaks Japanese fluently. Someone smart. Someone who does not scare easily. Someone with integrity. I slapped you. Because I insulted you in a language I thought you did not understand. That shows integrity. And courage. 2 things that are rare in my world. Your world being organized crime. My world being complicated. I shook my head. I am not interested. You have not heard the offer. I do not need to. I know what you are. I want no part of it. 60,000 a year. Full benefits. Regular hours. No weekends unless absolutely necessary. I froze. 60,000. That was more than I made at all 3 jobs combined. That was textbooks for Danny with money left over. That was paying down my loans. That was sleeping more than 4 hours a night. That was temptation wrapped in danger. What exactly would I be doing? Translation. Interpretation. Some administrative work. Attending meetings. Nothing illegal. Nothing illegal in an illegal organization. I run legitimate businesses too. Restaurants. Import-export. Real estate. You would work in those operations. And when you need something not legitimate, you would not be involved. I did not believe him. Could not believe him. But $60,000. I need to think about it. Of course. Here's my card. You have 48 hours to decide. He held out a business card. Black, with silver lettering. Simple. Elegant. I took it. Did not know what else to do. Thank you for your time, Miss Bennett. Sato opened the door wider in clear invitation for me to leave. I walked back into the restaurant in a daze. Amy pounced immediately. What did he want? Nothing. It was nothing. But it was not nothing. It was everything. I finished my shift, drove home, sat at my kitchen table with that black business card in front of me. $60,000 a year. Regular hours. Benefits. Security. All I had to do was work for a man who was definitely a criminal, no matter how legitimate his businesses looked on paper. I thought about Danny, about his tuition, his dreams. I thought about my student loans, the $47,000 hanging over my head like a sword. I thought about my car that was going to die soon, my apartment with the thin walls and the leaking ceiling, the fact that I was 26 years old and so tired I sometimes forgot what it felt like to not hurt. I picked up my phone, called Danny. Hey, Claire Bear. What's up? Just hearing his voice made me feel better and worse at the same time. How is school? Good. Really good, actually. I aced my thermodynamics exam. Professor said I should consider graduate school. Graduate school. More years. More money. More sacrifice. That is amazing. I am so proud of you.
How are you?
You sound tired. I am always tired. I know. I am sorry. I wish I could help more. You are doing exactly what you should be doing. Focus on school. We talked for a few more minutes. Normal stuff. His classes.
His friends.
His projects. When I hung up, I looked at the card again. I could not do this for the rest of my life. Work 3 jobs. Sleep 4 hours. Watch my dreams disappear further and further in the rearview mirror. Something had to change. Maybe this was the universe offering me a way out. Maybe it was a test. Maybe it was a mistake that would destroy me. But I was already destroyed. Already drowning. Already barely surviving. What did I have to lose? The next morning I called the number on the card. Sato answered. Miss Bennett, have you made a decision? I want to meet with Mr. Noboru. Discuss details. Ask questions. Of course. He is available this afternoon at 2. I work at 2. He can meet you at 11. Before your shift. These people clearly knew my schedule. That should have worried me more than it did.
Fine.
11. Where?
He gave me an address.
Downtown. Business district. I showed up at 10:55. The building was modern. Glass and steel. Expensive. The lobby had marble floors and a security desk. I gave my name. The security guard made a call. Nodded. Directed me to the elevators. 20th floor. The elevator was smooth and silent. My reflection stared back at me from the polished walls. I looked tired.
Scared.
Young. The doors opened onto a reception area that was all clean lines and understated luxury. A woman at the desk smiled. Miss Bennett. Right this way. She led me down a hallway to a large office. Corner view. City spread out below. The furniture was sleek.
Modern.
A desk that probably cost more than everything I owned. Noboru was standing at the window. He turned when I entered. Miss Bennett. Thank you for coming. He was dressed differently than at the restaurant. Still expensive, but more relaxed. Dark pants. White shirt.
No jacket.
He looked younger like this. Less intimidating. Almost normal. Almost. I have questions, I said. I expected you would.
Seat.
Please. I sat in one of the chairs across from his desk. He sat too, not behind the desk, but in the chair next to mine. More casual. Less boss and employee. More equal. Ask, he said. What exactly would I be doing? Specifically. He leaned back in his chair. I work with several Japanese companies. Import, export, distribution agreements. Most of the executives I deal with speak limited English. Their contracts, their communications, everything requires translation. I have used services before, but I need someone in-house. Someone I can trust. Why would you trust me? You do not know me. You slapped me in front of my men because I disrespected you. Most people would have smiled and taken the insult because they were afraid. You were afraid, but you did it anyway. That tells me you have principles. People with principles can be trusted if you respect their boundaries. And if you ask me to cross those boundaries, I will not. How can I believe that? You cannot. Not yet. But I am offering you a trial period. 3 months. You work, you see what the job actually involves. If at any point you are uncomfortable, you walk away.
No consequences.
That sounded too good to be true.
No consequences?
Really? Really? I need someone who wants to be there. Fear makes people sloppy. I need precision. I studied his face. He looked sincere. But men like him were good at looking sincere. What about my other jobs? You would quit them.
This is full-time.
And if I decide to leave after a month, I will have quit 3 jobs for one that did not work out. If you leave before the 3-month trial ends, I will pay you through the full 3 months regardless. That was more than fair. Suspiciously fair. Why me? You could hire any translator. Someone with experience. I could. But experienced translators have loyalties. Connections.
History.
You are starting over. You need this. That makes you motivated. And you proved you cannot be pushed around. I respect that. Most bosses do not respect employees who slap them. He smiled.
A real smile this time.
It changed his whole face. Made him look less dangerous and more human. Most bosses have never been slapped by someone who had every reason to be afraid, but did it anyway. You surprised me. I am not often surprised. I looked out the window at the city. My city. The place I had been drowning in for 5 years. 60,000 a year. Yes. Benefits. Health, dental, vision. Retirement matching. Regular hours. 9 to 5 most days. Occasionally, I will need you for evening meetings or events. You will be compensated for overtime. Nothing illegal. Nothing illegal. And if I see something illegal, I walk away, no consequences. Correct. It still felt like a trap. But it also felt like a life preserver thrown to someone going under for the 3rd time. I need to give my current job's notice. 2 weeks. Understandable. Your start date would be 3 weeks from today. That gives you time to transition properly. I want the offer in writing. Of course. Sato will have a contract ready by this afternoon. You can have a lawyer review it if you like. I cannot afford a lawyer. I will pay for one. I want you to feel secure in this agreement. That surprised me. Again. He stood, extended his hand. Do we have a deal, Miss Bennett? I looked at his hand, at his face, at the office that represented a world I knew nothing about. I thought about Danny, about my loans, about sleeping, about having a life that was not just survival. I stood, took his hand. We have a deal. His handshake was firm, professional. His hand was warm. Welcome to Noboru Enterprises, Claire.
Claire.
Not Miss Bennett. The shift felt significant. Thank you, Mr. Noboru. Haruki.
Please.
We'll be working closely together. Formality is unnecessary. Haruki. His name felt strange in my mouth. I left the building in a daze. Sat in my car. Stared at nothing. What had I just done? I called Danny. Hey, what is up? You never call during the day. I got a new job.
What?
Really? That is amazing. Doing what? Translation work. For a business consulting firm. 60,000 a year. He hooped. Actually hooped. Claire, that is incredible. That is more than all your jobs combined. I know. You can quit Grindhouse. And that data entry thing. And the restaurant. You can sleep. You can have a life.
Yeah.
You do not sound excited. I am. I am just in shock, I think. You deserve this. You have worked so hard for so long. Finally, something good is happening. Something good. I hoped he was right. I gave my 2 weeks' notice at all 3 jobs. My manager at Grindhouse was happy for me. The data entry company did not care. They had plenty of people desperate for work. Mr. Tanaka looked worried.
Claire.
Be careful with Noboru. He is not what he seems. Nobody is what they seem. Some people are more dangerous than others. I will be careful. But I did not know if careful was possible anymore. I had already jumped. Now I just had to hope there was something other than concrete at the bottom. The contract arrived that afternoon. Sato delivered it personally. It was thick, detailed. Everything Noboru had promised in writing. He also gave me the name and number of a lawyer. Mr. Noboru has arranged for Ms. Chun to review the contract with you. She specializes in employment law. Her fee is covered. I met with Ms. Chun the next day. She was sharp, professional, no nonsense. She went through every line of the contract with me. This is very generous, she said. The salary, the benefits, the termination clause. You can leave at any time during the trial period with full pay. Even after the trial, you have a 30-day out clause with severance. This is extremely employee-friendly. Is that unusual? For someone with no experience in this field? Very unusual. Either Mr. Noboru is desperate or he sees something in you he values highly. Or it is too good to be true. She looked at me over her glasses. Possibly. But legally, this contract protects you well. If you are asking my professional opinion, this is a solid offer. If you are asking my personal opinion, be very careful who you work for. Reputation matters. What is his reputation? Complicated. Same word he had used. I signed the contract. My last shift at Sakura Garden was bittersweet. The staff threw me a small goodbye party. Cake in the break room. Hugs. Promises to stay in touch. Mr. Tanaka pulled me aside before I left. You have my number. If you ever need anything, you call me. Understood? Understood. Thank you for everything. You were one of my best. I hope this new opportunity is everything you need it to be. Me too. My first day at Noboru Enterprises was terrifying. I wore the most professional clothes I owned. Black pants, white blouse, blazer I had bought at a thrift store. I felt like a kid playing dress up. The office was on the 20th floor of that same building. The reception area was empty when I arrived at 8:45. I was early. Always early. Sato appeared at exactly 9. Good morning, Miss Bennett. Welcome. Let me show you to your office. Office. I had an office. He led me down a hallway, opened a door. It was small but beautiful. Window with a city view. Desk, computer, bookshelves. Everything new and clean and mine. Mr. Noboru will meet with you at 9:30 to go over your initial assignments. Until then, familiarize yourself with the space. Computer login and passwords are in this envelope. Any questions? Where's the bathroom? He almost smiled. End of the hall. Kitchen is 2 doors down. Help yourself to coffee or tea. He left. I sat at my desk, stared at the computer. What was I doing here? At 9:30 exactly, there was a knock on my door.
Come in.
Haruki entered. He was in a full suit today. Dark gray. Perfectly tailored. He looked every inch the powerful businessman. Good morning. How do you feel? Terrified. He smiled. Good. Comfortable people do not pay attention. Terrified people are careful. He sat in the chair across from my desk. Pulled out a folder. Your first project. I am negotiating a distribution deal with a company in Osaka. They have sent contracts and correspondence. All in Japanese. I need everything translated. Reviewed. Any concerns flagged.
Can you do that?
I took the folder. Flipped through it. Standard business contracts. Complex, but not impossible. Yes. Good. Take your time. Accuracy is more important than speed. If you have questions, ask. My office is 3 doors down. Okay. He stood.
Paused at the door. Claire.
You belong here. Do not doubt that. Then he was gone. I opened the first document and started reading. The work was challenging but engaging. My brain, rusty from months of making coffee and entering medical codes, woke up. This was what I had studied for. This was using my skills. I worked through lunch. Did not even notice the time until Sato knocked on my door at 2. Miss Bennett. You should eat. I am fine. Mr. Noboru insists his employees take proper breaks. There is a cafe downstairs. Or I can order something delivered. I was hungry. Had been too nervous to eat breakfast. I will go downstairs. Thank you. The cafe was nice. I got a sandwich and coffee. Sat by the window. Watched the city move below. This was my life now. Office job. Regular hours. Using my brain. It felt like a dream. I went back upstairs. Finished the first contract translation. Started the second. At 5, Sato knocked again. End of day, Miss Bennett. I looked at the clock. 5 already. I am not finished. You can continue tomorrow. Go home. Home.
At 5.
In daylight. I saved my work. Shut down my computer. Walked out into the evening that was still light. Drove home in traffic that was heavy but manageable. I was home by 5:30. 5:30. I could make dinner. Real dinner. I could watch television. Read a book. Sleep. I sat on my couch and cried. Just cried. All the exhaustion, all the fear, all the relief flooding out. This could work. This might actually work.
My phone rang. Danny. Hey.
How was the first day? Good. Really good. Told you. Things are finally turning around for you. Maybe. Maybe they were. The first week was smooth. I translated contracts. Attended one meeting where I interpreted between Haruki and Japanese executives via video call. Everyone was professional. The work was legitimate. Nothing shady. Nothing that made me uncomfortable. The second week, Haruki asked me to accompany him to a dinner meeting with potential business partners. It is at Sakura Garden actually, he said. I hope that is not awkward. It was definitely awkward. But I agreed. We arrived together. Mr. Tanaka greeted us personally, his face carefully neutral when he saw me with Haruki. The dinner was fine. I translated. Facilitated conversation. Made sure everyone understood each other. Afterward, Haruki drove me home. His car was as expensive as expected. Leather seats. Smooth ride. You did well tonight, he said. Thank you. You are very good at making people comfortable. That is a rare skill. I was a waitress for 3 years. Making people comfortable was the job. It is more than that. You read people. Anticipate what they need. That is valuable. We pulled up in front of my building. He looked at it. At the peeling paint. The broken security gate. This is where you live. Yes. He did not say anything, but I could see him thinking. I know it is not much. I did not say anything. You did not have to. He looked at me. You should move. Somewhere safer. This is what I can afford. You make $60,000 a year now. And I have $47,000 in student loans and a brother in college. The math is better, but it is still tight. He was quiet for a moment. Then, if you ever need help, you can ask. I do not want charity. It would not be charity. It would be investment. You are valuable to me. I take care of what is valuable. That should have sounded threatening. Possessive. Instead it sounded like protection. Thank you. But I am okay. Stubborn. Yes. He smiled. Good night, Claire. Good night, Haruki. I watched him drive away. Went upstairs. Locked my 3 locks. Something was shifting. Between us.
In how he looked at me.
How I looked at him. It felt dangerous. It felt inevitable. The 3rd week, everything changed. It started with a phone call at 2 a.m. I jerked awake, heart pounding, fumbling for my phone in the dark. Unknown number. Hello. Claire. It is Haruki. His voice was tight, controlled, but I could hear something underneath. Stress. Maybe pain. What is wrong? Are you okay? I need your help. Can you come to this address? He rattled off a location. Warehouse, district. Not a good area. Now? It is 2 a.m. I would not ask if it was not important. Please. Something in his voice made me sit up. Made me reach for my jeans. I will be there in 20 minutes. I dressed in the dark. Grabbed my keys. My hands were shaking. This was it. This was the moment where the other shoe dropped. Where the legitimate business facade cracked, and I saw what was really underneath. I should have ignored the call. Should have stayed home. Should have quit tomorrow. But I got in my car and drove. The address was a warehouse. Old brick building. 1 light on inside. I parked and sat there for a moment, engine running, debating. Then Haruki appeared in the doorway. He was holding his side. Even from here I could see blood on his shirt. I was out of the car and running before I made a conscious decision. What happened? Business dispute. It got physical. He was leaning against the doorframe. His face was pale. The blood on his shirt was spreading. You need a hospital. I need discretion. Hospital means police. Police means questions I cannot answer. You are bleeding. I know.
Can you help me or not?
I looked at him. At the blood. At the choice I was facing. Walk away. Call an ambulance. Let the authorities handle whatever this was. Or step through this door and cross a line I could never uncross. Inside. Now. I helped him into the warehouse. It was mostly empty except for some crates and a small office area in the back. There was a couch. I got him to it. Take off your shirt. He unbuttoned it with shaking hands. The wound was on his left side. Looked like a knife cut. Deep but not life-threatening if it was treated properly. First aid kit. He pointed to a cabinet. I found it. Brought it back. I had taken a basic first aid course years ago when I was trying to pad my resume for college applications. Never thought I would actually use it. This is going to hurt. I know. I cleaned the wound. He hissed in pain but did not pull away. It needed stitches, but I did not have the skills for that. I used butterfly bandages to pull the edges together. Wrapped it tight. You really need a doctor. I have one. He will come in the morning. I just needed to get through tonight. What happened? Really? He leaned back on the couch. Closed his eyes. A business partner decided he wanted a bigger percentage of profits. When I declined, he decided to negotiate differently. With a knife. Yes. Where is he now? Being dealt with. The way he said it made my stomach turn. You mean hurt? Or killed? He opened his eyes. Looked at me. I mean removed from the situation. What happens beyond that is not your concern. If I am patching you up at 2 in the morning, it is my concern. You want the truth? Yes. He is being driven to the airport, put on a plane to somewhere far away, told never to come back. That is all. No one is dying tonight. You are asking me to believe you. Yes. I sat back on my heels, looked at this man bleeding on a couch in a warehouse. This man who had given me a job, who had been nothing but professional and kind for 3 weeks. This man who was definitely a criminal. I should leave. You should. I should quit tomorrow. Probably. I should call the police. That would be the right thing to do. I did not move. He watched me. Why are you still here, Claire? I do not know. Yes, you do. And maybe I did. Maybe some part of me recognized that Haruki Noboru, for all his danger and secrets, had been more honest with me than most people. He had not lied about what he was, had not pretended to be something clean and simple, and he had given me a chance when I needed one, had treated me with respect, had kept every promise. The contract said nothing illegal. Translating business documents is not illegal. But this is. This is not part of your job. This is me asking a favor from someone I hoped I could trust. I was wrong to call you. I apologize.
He started to stand, winced.
The blood was seeping through the bandage already. Sit down. You will tear it open. I should not have involved you. Too late. I am already involved. I grabbed the bandages, rewrapped the wound tighter. He watched me work. You are good at this. I am good at a lot of things I never wanted to be good at. I know that feeling. I looked up at him. His face was so close. I could see the pain in his eyes, but also something else. Gratitude.
Trust.
Tell me the truth. Are you a good person doing bad things, or a bad person pretending to be good? He considered the question seriously. I am a complicated person trying to protect what matters while navigating a world that does not reward kindness. That is a politician's answer. It is an honest answer. I finished the bandage.
Sat back.
What happens now? Now you go home. Sleep. Tomorrow you come to work, or you do not. Your choice. No consequences either way. You keep saying that.
No consequences.
But there are always consequences. Not from me. I meant what I said. The trial period is real. You can walk away. Can I? Really? After tonight? Yes. I wanted to believe him. Wanted to believe that this could still be simple.
A job.
A paycheck. Nothing more. But I was not stupid. I had crossed a line tonight. Seen something I was not supposed to see. Done something that made me complicit. I need time to think. Take all the time you need. I stood. Gathered the bloody gauze and supplies. What should I do with these? Garbage bag under the sink. I will dispose of it. I cleaned up. Washed my hands. The blood came off easily. If only guilt did the same. Haruki was still on the couch. Looking pale, but stable. Will you be okay?
Yes.
Sato is on his way. He will stay with me. Okay. I turned to leave. Claire. I looked back. Thank you. For coming. For helping. For not running. I still might run. I know. But you did not tonight. That matters. I drove home as the sun was starting to rise. Fell into bed fully clothed. Stared at the ceiling. What was I doing? I had helped a criminal. Covered up an assault. Become an accessory to something I did not fully understand. All the legitimate business, the clean contracts, the professional meetings. That was real. But it was also just one layer. Underneath was something darker. Something dangerous. I should quit. Should walk away. Should go back to grindhouse and data entry and safety. But safety had been killing me.
Slowly.
Surely. And Haruki had offered me something else. Not just money. Not just regular hours.
But respect. Trust.
A chance to use my mind. Was that worth the compromise? I fell asleep without an answer. I woke up at noon to my phone ringing.
Sato.
Miss Bennett. Mr. Noboru wanted me to inform you that he will not be in the office today. He asks that you take the day off as well. Paid, of course. How is he? His physician has seen him. He is resting. He will be fine. Good. He also asked me to tell you that there is no pressure regarding your decision. Whatever you choose, he respects it. I hung up, looked around my apartment, at the thin walls and the stained carpet and the future that was exactly like the past. Then I looked at my bank account, at the deposit that had hit 2 days ago. 2 weeks' salary. More money than I had ever had at once. I thought about Danny, about his excited voice when he talked about graduate school. I thought about my student loans, about actually making a dent in them. I thought about sleep, about having a life, about not being so tired I could barely think. And I thought about Haruki, about the way he looked at me like I was capable, valuable, important, about how he had trusted me enough to call when he needed help, about how he had given me a choice even when it would have been easier to manipulate or threaten. I picked up my phone, called the number from the contract. Sato. It is Claire. I will be in the office tomorrow. Normal time. There was a pause. Then, I will inform Mr. Noboru. Thank you, Miss Bennett. I hung up, sat there feeling the weight of what I had just done. I had chosen. For better or worse. I had chosen. The next morning I arrived at the office at 8:45. Everything looked normal.
Clean.
Professional. Like the warehouse and the blood had been a bad dream. But the dream was real. And I was in it now. Haruki was not there. Sato said he was working from home for a few days. I dove into work, translated documents, reviewed contracts, kept my head down, and my thoughts quiet. On the 4th day, Haruki returned. He moved carefully, but looked much better. The color was back in his face. He stopped by my office mid-morning.
Claire, can we talk?
Of course. He closed the door.
Sat down.
Thank you for staying. I almost did not. I know. Why did you? I had asked myself that question 100 times. The answer was complicated. But I gave him the simplest version. Because you gave me a choice. Real choice. Most people do not do that. Most people do not have your courage. Is it courage? Or desperation? Does it matter? Maybe it did not. What happens now? I asked. Now we work. You continue what you have been doing. I continue being more careful about business disputes. Will there be more nights like that? I hope not. But I cannot promise. My world is unpredictable. And if there are, if you call me again, you will choose again. Stay or go. Help or refuse. I will not force your hand. I believed him. I should not have. But I did. Okay. He stood. Paused at the door. You could have let me bleed. Could have called the police. Could have used that night as leverage. You did none of those things. That tells me who you are. What if who I am changes? Working here, being part of this world. Then I will deal with who you become, not who you were. After he left, I sat at my desk and tried to focus on contracts. But my mind kept drifting. I had crossed a line. But the line had not been as clear as I thought. And the man on the other side was not the monster I expected.
He was complicated.
Dangerous. But also principled in his own way. And I was tired of simple. Simple had been slowly destroying me. Maybe complicated was better. Even if it was dangerous. That evening, as I was packing up to leave, Haruki appeared again. Dinner? What? There is a new restaurant. Korean fusion. I have a reservation. Come with me. Is this work?
No.
This is me asking if you want to have dinner. As people. Not employer and employee. Warning bells went off in my head. This was a line. A different kind of line. I do not think that is a good idea. Why not? Because you are my boss. Because the situation is already complicated enough. It is just dinner, Claire. But it was not. We both knew it was not.
Still.
I heard myself say, "What time?" He smiled. That real smile that changed his whole face.
7.
I will pick you up. I can meet you there. I know you can. But I would like to pick you up. This was a mistake. I knew it was a mistake. Okay. 7. I went home, changed 3 times, settled on a simple dress. Nothing fancy, but nicer than my work clothes. At exactly 7, there was a knock on my door. Haruki stood there in dark jeans and a fitted shirt. Casual. Handsome in a way that made my stomach flip. You look beautiful. Thank you. You look nice too. We drove to the restaurant. Talked about nothing important. Music.
Books.
The weather. The restaurant was intimate. Low lighting. Small tables. Romantic. This was definitely not just dinner. We ordered. The food was incredible. We talked more. About our childhoods. Our families. Our dreams. He told me about growing up in his family. About the expectations. The pressure. The violence he witnessed as a child. I did not choose this life, he said. It chose me. But I am trying to make it something better than what it was.
How?
Legitimate businesses. Fair treatment of employees. Protecting territory without unnecessary violence. It is not perfect, but it is better than my father's way. Your father? Dead 3 years now. Heart attack. He ran things differently. Cruelly. When I took over, I made changes. Not everyone agreed with them. Like the man with a knife. Like him. I understood better now. He was trying to reform something rotten from the inside. It was dangerous work. Maybe impossible work. But he was trying. What about you? He asked. What did you want? Before your parents died. I wanted to travel. Use my languages.
Work for the State Department maybe.
See the world. You still could.
No.
I have Danny. I have responsibilities. Danny will graduate eventually. Then what? I had not let myself think that far ahead. Thinking ahead hurt too much. I do not know. He reached across the table. Took my hand. You should dream again, Claire. You deserve dreams. His hand was warm. Strong. I should have pulled away. I did not. This is dangerous, I said quietly. Whatever this is. I know. It is a bad idea. Probably. We should stop. Do you want to?
No. I did not want to.
That was the problem. I looked at our hands. At his face. At the man who was dangerous and kind and complicated and offering me something I had not felt in 5 years.
Hope. No. Y esperad.
I do not want to stop. He smiled. Squeezed my hand. Good. We finished dinner. He drove me home. Walked me to my door. Thank you for tonight, I said. Thank you for taking a chance. We stood there in the dim hallway. So close. His eyes were dark. Intent. He leaned in slowly, giving me time to pull away. I did not pull away. His lips touched mine.
Soft.
Gentle. The kiss was brief, but it sent electricity through my entire body. When he pulled back, his hand came up to cup my face. Sleep well, Claire. You too. He waited until I was inside. Until I locked the door. I leaned against it, heart pounding, and realized I had just made everything infinitely more complicated. But for the first time in 5 years, I felt alive. The safe house days should have brought us closer. Instead, they exposed the cracks. Haruki was different after the Tanaka incident. Quieter. More distant. He spent hours on phone calls I was not allowed to hear. Meetings I could not attend. When we returned to the city, he moved me into his penthouse.
For protection, he said.
But it felt like a cage. Beautiful, expensive, suffocating. I need to go back to work, I told him after a week. Not yet. It is not safe. When will it be safe? Soon. But soon never came. Days turned into weeks. I was translating from home, barely leaving the penthouse. Haruki came and went at odd hours. Sometimes he was gone for days. Danny called. Claire, what is going on? You sound weird. Are you okay? I am fine. Just busy. You are lying. I can always tell when you are lying. Danny, I promise. Everything is fine. But everything was not fine. The federal investigation reopened. Different agents. Different questions. They knew about Tanaka's attempt on Haruki's life. They wanted to know what I knew. Nothing. I was not there. But you work for Noboru. You live with him. You expect us to believe you know nothing about his operations. I translate documents. That is all. They did not believe me. They threatened charges. Obstruction. Conspiracy. Accessory after the fact. I called Haruki in a panic. He sent lawyers. Expensive lawyers who made the threats disappear. But the agents made it clear they were watching, waiting for me to slip up. I felt trapped. By the investigation. By Haruki's protection. By my own choices. One night I confronted him. I cannot live like this. Locked away. Watched. Never knowing what is happening. It is temporary. You keep saying that. But it has been 2 months. 2 months of being isolated. Of feeling like a prisoner. I am trying to protect you. I do not need protection. I need my life back. He looked at me with something like pain. Your life is dangerous now because of me. I am trying to minimize that. By controlling everything I do. By keeping you safe. This is not safety. This is captivity. We fought. Really fought. Voices raised. Words that cut.
He left.
Did not come back for 3 days. When he did, he looked exhausted. Defeated. You are right. I have been controlling. Overprotective. I am sorry. I just want to be part of your life. Not hidden away from it. My life is dangerous, Claire. The more you see, the more danger you are in. That is my choice to make. Is it? Because if something happens to you because of me, I will never forgive myself. I understood then. His distance was not about control. It was about fear. He was terrified of losing me. Nothing is going to happen. You do not know that.
No.
But I would rather risk danger with you than be safe without you. He pulled me close. Held me like I was something precious. Something fragile. I love you. More than I have ever loved anyone. That terrifies me. It terrifies me too. Things improved after that. He let me back into the office. Back into meetings. Back into his world. But the danger did not disappear. It grew. Tanaka's organization collapsed after his arrest. But the power vacuum created chaos. Smaller groups fighting for territory. Violence in the streets. Businesses caught in the crossfire. Haruki worked constantly to maintain control.
To keep the peace.
But it was like holding back a flood with his bare hands. One of his warehouses was burned. 2 of his men were hospitalized after an attack. A restaurant he owned was vandalized. And through it all, the federal investigation continued. Agents showing up at businesses. Interviewing employees. Building a case. They want to connect me to Tanaka's crimes, Haruki explained. If they can prove I was involved in the violence, they can bring RICO charges. Dismantle everything. Were you involved?
He looked at me.
I defended myself. I defended my people. If that makes me guilty, then I am guilty. The stress was destroying him. He lost weight. Stopped sleeping. The warmth in his eyes dimmed. I tried to help. Worked longer hours. Took on more responsibility. Anything to ease his burden. But it was not enough. 3 months after the Tanaka incident, everything fell apart. The feds arrested Sato. Charged him with racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy. They offered him a deal. Testify against Haruki, get a reduced sentence. Sato refused. But the arrest sent shockwaves through the organization. If they could get Sato, they could get anyone. Employees quit. Partners backed away. The legitimate businesses suffered as people distanced themselves from anything connected to Haruki Noboru. Revenue dropped. Bills piled up. For the first time since I started, paychecks were delayed. Haruki called an emergency meeting with remaining staff. I know things are difficult. I know you are scared. But we will get through this. I will not let this organization collapse. But I could see the doubt in people's faces. The fear. That night, alone in the penthouse, Haruki finally broke. I am losing everything. Everything I built. Everything I tried to make legitimate. I held him while he fell apart. This strong, dangerous man crying in my arms. We will figure it out.
How?
The feds want me in prison. My rivals want me dead. My own organization is crumbling. I have nothing left. You have me. He looked at me with devastation in his eyes. For how long? How long before you realize you tied yourself to a sinking ship? I am not going anywhere. You should. Save yourself while you still can. Stop it. We are in this together. But even as I said it, I felt the weight of it. The impossibility. We were drowning and I did not know how to save us. The next week was a nightmare. 2 more employees arrested. Federal agents raided the main office. Seized computers, files, records. My translations. My work. All taken as evidence. They brought me in for questioning again. This time more aggressive. We know you are more than just a translator. We know you are helping Noboru hide assets, launder money. If you cooperate now, we can help you. I have done nothing illegal. Then prove it. Tell us what Noboru is really doing. Running legitimate businesses. That is all I have seen. They kept me for 6 hours. Questioned me in circles. Threatened charges. Promised deals. I said nothing. Gave them nothing. When they finally let me go, Haruki was waiting outside the police station. Are you okay?
No.
I am not okay. None of this is okay. We went back to the penthouse. Sat in silence. This is my fault, he said finally. I brought you into this. I ruined your life. You did not ruin my life. You gave me a chance when no one else would. A chance at what? Legal troubles? Federal investigations? This is not the life you deserved. Maybe not, but it is the life I chose. He looked at me with something like wonder. How are you not running? Because I love you. And love means staying even when everything is falling apart. He kissed me then. Desperate. Grateful.
Scared.
We made love that night like it might be the last time. Like we were trying to hold onto something that was slipping away. Afterward, lying in the dark, he whispered, if I go to prison, promise me you will move on. Find someone good. Someone safe. Live the life you should have had. You are not going to prison. Promise me, Claire.
No.
Because you are not going anywhere. We're going to fight this. Together. But I was not sure I believed it anymore. The investigation intensified. More arrests. More raids. More pressure. Haruki's lawyer advised him to take a deal. Plead to lesser charges. Serve minimum time. He refused. I will not admit to crimes I did not commit. I will not validate their narrative. Then prepare for trial. And prepare to lose. We prepared. Gathered evidence. Built defense. Lined up witnesses. But it felt like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. 4 months after the Tanaka incident, federal agents showed up at the penthouse at 6 in the morning. Haruki Noboru, you are under arrest for racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy, and tax evasion. They handcuffed him in front of me, read him his rights, led him away. He looked back once, mouthed the words, I love you. Then he was gone. I stood in the empty penthouse and felt my world collapse. Everything we had built, everything we had fought for.
Gone.
And I was alone. The first week after Haruki's arrest was a blur of lawyers, bail hearings, and media coverage. Bail was set at $5 million. Haruki's assets were frozen pending investigation. We could not pay it. He stayed in county jail. I visited every day. Sat across from him in a small room with guards watching. You should leave the city, he said during one visit. Start over somewhere else. This will get worse before it gets better. I am not leaving. Claire, they're going to try to use you against me. They will threaten you, pressure you, promise you deals. Let them try. You are so stubborn. You knew that already. But the pressure did come. Federal agents showed up at my apartment. At Danny's school. They called my brother in for questioning. That was the final straw. I called the lead agent. Leave my brother alone. He knows nothing. He has nothing to do with this. Then cooperate. Tell us what Noboru was really doing. Help us build the case. There is no case. Everything I saw was legitimate. You are lying to protect him. I am telling the truth.
They did not believe me.
But they left Danny alone after that. The trial date was set. 6 months away. Haruki's lawyer said it was enough time to build a defense, but not enough to gather everything they needed. Meanwhile, the organization crumbled completely. Businesses closed. Employees scattered. Everything Haruki built disappeared. I had no job. No income. My savings from the past months were depleting fast. I went back to Grindhouse. Begged for my old job back. They hired me. Back to making coffee. Back to minimum wage plus tips. It felt like defeat. Like I had come full circle. 5 years of struggle. A brief glimpse of something better. Then back to where I started. Except worse. Because now I had legal troubles and media attention and federal agents watching my every move.
Danny called.
Claire, what is happening? The news is saying Haruki is a criminal. That you were involved. Is any of it true? It is complicated. That is not an answer. He is not what they're saying. Neither am I. But proving that is hard. Do you love him? The question surprised me. Yes. Even knowing what he is, I know what he is. I also know who he is. Those are two different things. Danny was quiet for a long moment. I do not understand. But I trust you. If you say he is worth fighting for, then I believe you. That meant everything. I visited Haruki every day. Brought him updates. Encouragement.
Hope.
But he was fading. The man who had been so strong, so confident, was disappearing behind bars. I am going to be convicted, he said one day. The evidence is circumstantial, but it is everywhere. They have built a narrative. The jury will believe it. Then we fight harder. Claire, I need you to prepare for the possibility that I will spend the next 10 to 20 years in prison. The number hit me like a physical blow. 10 to 20 years.
No.
That is not happening. It might. And if it does, you need to move on. Live your life. Do not wait for me. Stop talking like that. I am being realistic. You are 27 years old. You have your whole life ahead of you. I will not let you waste it waiting for a man in prison. That is not your decision to make. Yes, it is. If I am convicted, I am setting you free. No contact.
No visits.
You move on. You do not get to decide that.
Ido.
And I am deciding it now. If I go to prison, we are over. For your sake, not mine. I left that visit in tears.
Angry. Hurt.
Terrified. But underneath it all, I understood. He was trying to protect me. Even from himself. The weeks crawled by. Haruki's lawyer worked constantly. Building defense. Finding witnesses. Challenging evidence. But the prosecution had resources. A whole team. They were confident. Aggressive. The trial was going to be brutal. 2 months before the trial, something shifted. One of Tanaka's former associates reached out through back channels. He had information. Evidence that Tanaka had been setting Haruki up for years. Planting evidence. Creating false connections. The associate wanted immunity in exchange for testimony. Haruki's lawyer jumped on it. Negotiated with prosecutors. Built a new defense strategy. Suddenly we had hope. The information was devastating to the prosecution's case. It showed that much of their evidence was manufactured. That Haruki had been the target of a sophisticated frame job. The trial was delayed while both sides investigated the new claims. Bail was reconsidered. Reduced to 1 million. We scraped together enough to pay it. Haruki came home after 4 months in jail. He was thinner. Harder.
Changed.
But he was home. We did not talk about his ultimatum. About ending things if he was convicted. We just held each other and tried to remember what normal felt like. I do not know if we can win this, he said that first night back. Even with the new evidence. The jury might not believe it. Then we make them believe it.
How?
By telling the truth. Your truth.
Who you really are.
What you were really trying to build. He looked skeptical. The truth is complicated. So, let it be complicated. Let the jury see the whole picture. Not just the prosecution's narrative. His lawyer agreed. Built the defense around Haruki's story. His childhood. His attempts at reform. the threats he faced. The frame job. It was risky. Putting Haruki on the stand meant cross-examination. But it was our best shot. The trial started 5 months after his arrest. The media coverage was intense. Every day brought new headlines, new speculation. I attended every session, sat behind Haruki, let him know I was there. The prosecution went first, presented their evidence, financial records, testimony from former associates, circumstantial connections to illegal activities. It looked bad, really bad. Then the defense began. They dismantled the evidence piece by piece, showed how Tanaka had manufactured connections, how he had used legitimate businesses as cover for his own crimes while making it look like Haruki's doing. The former associate testified, detailed the frame job, named names, provided proof. It was compelling, but would it be enough? Finally, Haruki took the stand. He was calm, honest. He did not deny his family's history, did not pretend to be something he was not. But he explained his reforms, his attempts at legitimacy, the threats he faced from both criminals and law enforcement. I am not a saint, he said. I come from a world of violence and crime. But I've been trying to build something different, something better. Have I made mistakes?
Yes.
Have I done questionable things to protect what I built? Yes. But the crimes I am accused of? I did not commit them. I was set up by a man who wanted to destroy me and take everything I had. The cross-examination was brutal. The prosecutor attacked every statement, every claim, every defense. But Haruki held firm, did not waver, did not break. When he finally stepped down, I could not read the jury's faces, could not tell if they believed him or condemned him. Closing arguments took 2 days, both sides presenting their final cases. Then it went to the jury. We waited. 3 days of deliberation. 3 days of not knowing, not sleeping, not breathing. On the 3rd day, the jury returned. We stood as they filed in. I held Haruki's hand, felt him trembling. The forewoman stood. Read the verdict. On the charge of racketeering. Not guilty. My heart stopped. On the charge of money laundering. Not guilty. Haruki's hand tightened on mine. On the charge of conspiracy. Not guilty. I started crying. On the charge of tax evasion. Guilty. The courtroom erupted. The one conviction. Tax evasion. The smallest charge but still a felony. The judge banged his gavel. Called for order. Sentencing was set for 2 weeks later. Haruki's lawyer explained. Tax evasion carried 2 to 5 years typically. With his lack of criminal record and the circumstances, he would likely get the minimum, maybe even probation. It was not freedom, but it was not 20 years either. It was hope. The 2 weeks before sentencing were strange. Haruki was free but not free, acquitted but convicted, vindicated but still guilty. The media spun it every way possible. Some called it justice. Others called it a miscarriage. Everyone had an opinion. But we did not care about opinions anymore. We cared about what came next. Haruki used those 2 weeks to rebuild. Not the criminal organization. That was done. Over. He let it die. Instead, he focused on the legitimate businesses that had survived. The restaurants. The import company. The real estate holdings. I am done with the other life, he told me. The trial made me see what I was holding on to, what I was afraid to let go of. It is not worth it. Not worth the risk. Not worth losing you. You are not going to lose me. I almost did. If that verdict had been different, I would have sent you away. Ended this to protect you. But I do not want to end this, Claire. I want to build a real life with you. A clean life. What does that look like? I do not know yet. But I know it involves you. If you still want that. I want that. He pulled a small box from his pocket, opened it. Inside was a ring. Simple. Beautiful. A diamond that caught the light. Marry me. Not today. Not until after sentencing. Not until I know what our future looks like. But someday, when this is all behind us, marry me and build a real life with me. I looked at the ring. at his face, at the hope and fear and love in his eyes. This man who had given me a job when I was desperate, who had seen me, valued me, loved me, who had been willing to send me away to protect me. This complicated, dangerous, trying man. Yes. He slipped the ring on my finger, kissed me like it was a promise, a beginning. Sentencing day arrived. The courtroom was packed. Media, supporters, protesters, everyone wanting to see how this story ended. The judge reviewed the case, considered arguments from both sides, looked at Haruki's history, his reform attempts, the circumstances. Mr. Noboru, you come from a world most of us cannot imagine. A world where violence and crime are normalized. But you have attempted, however imperfectly, to extract yourself from that world, to build something legitimate. That attempt deserves recognition. However, you did commit tax evasion. You did fail to properly report income. That cannot be overlooked. Therefore, I sentence you to 2 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years supervised release and restitution of taxes owed plus penalties. 2 years. Not 5. Not 20.
2.
It was more than we hoped and less than we feared. Haruki was remanded immediately. They took him into custody right there in the courtroom. He looked back at me once, smiled, mouthed, "I love you." Then he was gone again. But this time it was different. This time there was an end date. This time there was a future waiting. I walked out of that courtroom wearing his ring and carrying his promise. 2 years. I could wait 2 years. The first 6 months were the hardest. Adjusting to Haruki being gone. Visiting him in federal prison. Building a life that was on hold, but still moving forward. I worked at the businesses he left behind. Helped manage them remotely. Kept them running until he could return. Danny graduated college. Got a job at an engineering firm. Finally started paying his own way. "I am going to pay you back," he said. "For everything. Every sacrifice you made. You do not have to. I want to. You gave up your dreams for me. Now I want to help you build new ones." My student loans finally got paid off. Not by me. By Haruki. He had arranged it before sentencing. One less burden. One less chain. I started taking classes again. Online. Working toward finishing my degree. 7 years after I dropped out, I was going back. It felt like starting over. But better this time. Stronger. I visited Haruki every week. Watched him change. Soften. He took classes too. Business management. Accounting. Planning for a legitimate future. "I am going to do this right," he told me during one visit. "When I get out, everything will be clean. Legal. No more gray areas. Just us and a real life." I believe you. Do you still want this? Want me? After everything? More than ever. The months passed. Slowly but surely. Haruki's businesses thrived. Turned profit. Grew. The restaurants expanded. The import companies secured major contracts. Everything we had almost lost came back stronger. 18 months into his sentence, he was transferred to a minimum security facility. Better conditions. More freedom. The reward for good behavior and low flight risk. 6 months after that, he was released. 2 years served. Time off for good behavior, and prison programs completed. I picked him up the day he got out. He walked through those doors in civilian clothes, free for the first time in 2 years. He saw me. Smiled that smile that changed his whole face. Ran to me. Pulled me into his arms. Kissed me like he had been drowning, and I was air. "I am home. You're home." We drove to the penthouse. Our penthouse. The life waiting for him. That night, over dinner, he cooked himself because he missed real food. He asked again, "Will you marry me?"
For real this time.
Not someday.
Soon.
As soon as we can arrange it.
Yes.
Absolutely yes. We got married 3 months later. Small ceremony. Just Danny, Sato, a handful of close friends. Nothing elaborate. Nothing flashy. Just us promising forever to each other. Haruki kept his promise. Everything legal. Everything clean. He built an empire of legitimate businesses. Restaurants, import, real estate. made more money legally than he ever did in the gray areas. I finished my degree, started working with international businesses, using my languages for consulting, building my own career alongside his. Danny got engaged, started his own life, finally free of the burden of needing me. And I was free too. Free of debt, free of exhaustion, free of that constant fear that had defined my 20s. 5 years after that slap in Sakura Garden, I stood in our home, looking out at the city, wearing a ring that represented everything we had survived. Haruki came up behind me, wrapped his arms around me. Do you regret it? Any of it? I thought about that night. The insult.
The slap.
The choice that changed everything.
No.
Not even a little. Even the hard parts? Especially the hard parts. They made us who we are. He kissed my neck. I love you, Claire Bennett Noboru. I love you too. The city stretched out below us, full of possibility, full of future. I had started as a broke waitress drowning in debt and exhaustion, had slapped a dangerous man and somehow found love instead of destruction, had survived federal investigations and trials and prison time, had waited and fought and refused to give up. And now I had everything.
Career.
Love. Security.
Peace.
The journey had been brutal, but it had been worth it. Every single moment. So if you are out there, struggling, drowning, feeling like there's no way forward, remember this. Sometimes the moment that breaks you is actually the moment that saves you. Sometimes the dangerous choice is the right choice. Sometimes love is worth fighting for, even when everything says to run. And sometimes, the person who looks like your destruction turns out to be your salvation. I slapped a Mafia boss and found my future. What will you do with yours? If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories about love, courage, and second chances. Comment below and tell me what you would have done in my situation. Would you have slapped him? Would you have stayed? Would you have fought for love even when it was dangerous? I read every comment. I love hearing from you. Until next time, remember this. You are stronger than you think, braver than you know, and worthy of a love that sees all of you and chooses you anyway. Take care of yourselves out there. And never stop fighting for the life you deserve. This is Claire, signing off.